Here's the one thing you need to succeed selling postcards on eBay. Hey guys, Ken here from Epic Treasure. Welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I wanted to share with you the one thing that I believe you need, absolutely need, as a reseller to be successful selling postcards on eBay. Now, it may not be what you think, and that's why I wanted to do this video, okay? You know, when I started on eBay 20-something years ago, I started out just like everybody else. I was selling anything I could that would make money. And then I got interested because I was a photographer. I said, well, maybe I ought to sell just photography equipment because I know about photography, And that lasted for a little while. But then I got tired of shipping all kinds of different size boxes and things like that and having to deal with shipping costs and things like that, try to figure all that stuff out. So I decided on going after a niche market. More of a niche. I know photography is kind of a niche, but I mean a really tight niche market. I came across selling Hot Wheels because I thought Hot Wheels would be great. I grew up with Hot Wheels. Maybe you did too. And but one thing I found out about Hot Wheels is that unless you're selling, really vintage Hot Wheels, like out of the 70s and they're in mint condition, there's not a whole lot of profit margin. What most people unfortunately are doing selling Hot Wheels these days is they're going down to their local store, pulling them off the peg, the pegboards, for $1 or 98 cents or whatever, and then try to flip them for $3. And there's just, when you factor in all the eBay fees and the promotional fees and, promoted listings and cost of doing goods and all that, there just isn't very much of a profit margin there. And I realized that pretty quickly. So I ditched that idea. Even though I loved Hot Wheels, I just ditched that idea. But then I got into selling postcards. And I did a video years ago, and I think I titled it The 3 Top Reasons Why I Sell Postcards. One was they're easy to find, okay? The second was they're easy to store. I mean, they take up virtually no room in your house. I mean, if you're selling hard goods or electronics or shoes or clothing or whatever, I see people on YouTube and it takes over their whole house. They have to either incorporate their garage if they have a house, or they have to rent space because they have to be able to warehouse that stuff. And the third reason was they're easy to ship. I mean, it goes out in an envelope with a stamp. So that's why I got into postcards, and, besides the fact that I found out it was the third most collectible item in the entire world behind coins and stamps, and it was very profitable. I can buy a lot of postcards, a lot of 100 postcards for like $20, and I can flip most of those for like anywhere from $5 to $50. I had a postcard a little while ago that I sold for over $100. So it can be very profitable. But I kind of digress. I was saying all that to say this. A lot of people think that in order to be successful selling postcards or anything pretty much on eBay, but I'm going to stick to postcards, is the fact that the one thing you've got to have, that everybody believes you've got to have, is passion. And that's true to a degree. And the reason I say that is because passion, everybody thinks unless you're passionate about what you do, you won't succeed. Well, that's not necessarily true. And the reason I say that is because I read a story one time about a guy who was a multi-millionaire, maybe even a billionaire, I don't know. And you know what he sold for a living? Concrete. Now, I don't know anybody that would be passionate about concrete. I don't know, maybe there are some people. I don't think that he woke up every morning saying, boy, I'd love to just get involved with that concrete. It's just like, so that's why I say passion is not going to cut it for you. I mean, it's an important factor in your business, in your success. You've got to like what you do. You've got to love what you do. Okay, I love selling postcards. Okay, I'm not in love with it, but I love selling postcards because, like I said, they're easy to find, easy to store, and easy to ship, and they're profitable. There's a good profit margin there, and there's always a market for it. like I said, third most collectible item in the entire world, there's always going to be a market for it. But I realized that passion is not going to get you through the hard times, and everybody in business goes through hard times. I don't care what kind of things you sell on eBay. You're not always going to have great sales all the time. Now, I don't know. Maybe you're different. Maybe you've come across something that you do. But for most of us, we have ups and downs, ebb and flow of business. I'm a firm believer that when, people buy when they're ready to buy. And you can't trick them. You can't coerce them. You don't have any secret sales trick or secret sauce that's going to make people buy. Until people are ready to put that money down on their credit card or their, pull it out of their PayPal account or whatever, they're not gonna buy until they're ready. I've had people wait 3 weeks, watch items on my, my postcards for 3 weeks before they pull the trigger. So, in my opinion, and that's all it is, my opinion, passion is important, but it's not the most important. And really, what I consider the most important thing in running a successful eBay business, whether it's postcards or whatever, but I'm trying to focus on postcards, is discipline. Because discipline is going to get you through the hard times. When there's times that sales are slow, when there's times that you just don't feel like listing. I mean, let's face it. Let's just be transparent here, guys. Not a whole lot of people on eBay, myself included, like listing. And the reasons I don't like listing may be different from yours, but the reason I don't care for it that much, I'm not a big fan of it, but it is necessary, of course, is because of the fact that it's repetitive. It takes a lot of time sometimes to do that. It's redundant, and things like that. I have a struggle with, but I do because my discipline kicks in. I'm a big fan of aircraft. I love to watch aircraft fly, and especially fighter jets. And one of the things they tell young pilots when they get out of flight school, whatever, they say, well, what if I get in a situation where, I'm getting shot at and, I'm overwhelmed or whatever. And they usually tell their fellow pilots, they say, don't worry about it. Your training will kick in. Rely on your training, because your training will get you through. Well, it's the same thing here in business. If you are disciplined in your business, if you have a plan, if you get up every morning at a certain time and you just put your head down and go to work, regardless of whether you're going to make sales that day or not. I believe I'm going to make sales every day. Do I? No. But I go in with that attitude. You've got to have the right mindset. That's another important thing. But above all of that, about having the right mindset, the right price, using the right keywords, having a passion for what you do, above all of that is got to be disciplined. You've got to be disciplined, because if you don't, you're going to end up treating your business like a hobby rather than a business. Now, there's nothing wrong with treating your business like a hobby if that's what you want, But the thing is, if you want to turn your business into a job-changing career to where you can tell your boss, go kick rocks, and go pound sand or whatever, you just want to leave your 9 to 5, then you're going to have to be disciplined, because when you are in your own business, especially if it's full-time, I mean, this even applies if you're part-time. I know a lot of people that have a full-time job, but again, they have to have the discipline, because when they get home, they're going to be tired. After working 8 or 10 hours, they're going to be tired. So they get something to eat, they splash some cold water on their face, and they put their head down and they go to work for 3 or 4 hours in the evening. But unless you do that on a regular basis, I'm not saying you have to do it all the time, but unless you do it kind of on a regular basis, it's not going to pay off for you. It's going to, you treat your business like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want out of your business. But if you want to get to that point, if you want to take your business to the next level, and you want to go full-time with it someday maybe, you've got to have that discipline. You've got to get up every morning and list, and whether you want to or not. Now, I will be honest with you, there have been a few times, not many, that I've given into it and I've not listed. I've just too usually it's because I'm too tired, because I am 66 years old. I'm not 30 anymore. But the old adage is, if you don't list, you won't sell. The more you list, the more you sell. That's true. I found that to be very true. I do a lot of other things with my eBay business. I do a lot of tweaking. I do a lot of end listings and sell similar. I do all that kind of stuff to kind of keep the algorithm going, because nobody can really figure out the algorithm. If you run into somebody that tells you they've figured out the eBay algorithm, run, okay? Because they haven't. Okay, I've seen engineers on YouTube tell me that you can't figure it out, because even if you did figure out the eBay algorithm, to gain an advantage, if eBay finds out about it, they're just going to tell their programmers to go in and change the code, and then all of a sudden the algorithm's going to change, and all of a sudden what you thought was going to work isn't working anymore. So basically, discipline will get you through. Discipline will help you to realize that, hey, if I don't do this, we're not going to make any sales today, or we may not make any sales. I'm not going to say you're not going to, because there have been rare times where I didn't do any listing and I did make a couple of sales. But you're going to make more sales by being disciplined. And that's just putting your head down and going to work. When you're in business for yourself, it's not like you go to a 9-to-5 job, you go do your 8 hours or whatever, and you come home and that's all your responsibility, and you take weekends off, and you collect a paycheck. When you're in business for yourself, it's all on you. Okay, the taxes, the insurance, the time you put in, the sourcing, the inventory management systems, everything. Unless you've got employees working for you. Now, some people are blessed enough that they've advanced their careers and their eBay businesses enough to where they can hire people. But for a lot of us, we're a one-man band or one-person band. We got to do it all. Got to wear many hats. In my humble opinion, discipline is what's going to get you through the tough times. When the times when you don't feel like listing, when you don't feel like working, when you don't feel like sourcing even. I mean, we all love to source. We all like to go on the hunt. But sometimes you just may not want to go out and have to fight the traffic and the people, and I'm not a big fan of that either, When I go sourcing, it's usually odd times, because I don't like dealing with crowds and people and traffic. And even in the small town that we live in, we have what we call a tourist season. We're in that right now. We're in the middle of what they call Roadie Week. And we have a carnival in town and everything. And there's just people everywhere. People here that live in town, people that come over from the valley, from Eugene, because it's too hot over there. So they come over here because it's cooler on the coast here. But it's that discipline that's I believe is going to help you succeed more than if you just have passion alone, or if you just kind of do it haphazardly and just every once in a while. If you really want to change your circumstances, if you want to change your situation, if you want to be able to walk away from that 9-to-5 and not have to report to a boss anymore. I haven't worked for a boss in decades. And I've never looked back. I've never regretted that decision. I was kind of put into a position where my situation was a little bit different because of a back injury. But the thing is, I still have to have the discipline to get up every day and go to work. And you're going to have to work harder. Believe it or not, I don't care what you see on YouTube. You see all these fake gurus on YouTube that are flashing all this money and cash and Lamborghinis and mansions and all that. And they're into these get-rich-quick things that last for a little while. They're hot for a little while, but then they phase out and they get saturated, and then they have to go looking for the next shiny object in the room. Something like this is something I've told people on my intro bump, my new intro bump that I just recorded, is that if you're looking for a get-rich-quick, this isn't for you, okay? Because selling postcards is a very niche market. It appeals to collectors, scrapbook artists, people that just love history, that kind of thing. But it may not be as common as if you sold regular goods like sneakers or T-shirts or even food or cosmetics or electronics or whatever. Everyday items. people that buy postcards have disposable cash that they're willing to spend because they're a collector or whatever. And that's why it's a numbers game. And the more listings you have, I mean, I know there's people out there on YouTube that have 50,000 listings in their eBay store, 100,000 listings, you know, whatever. I'm not anywhere near that. You know, I'm on the verge of clearing 7,000. But you build on it every day. But it's the discipline that kicks in every day. It's the discipline that when I come into my office, I go to work. You know, just like you were if you had to work a full-time job, you would have to go to work. You know, if you have to report to a job at 7 a.m. and they expect you to be there, if you just start not showing up haphazardly, or just when you get there, you throw your feet up on the desk, you don't work or whatever, you ain't going to have a job long, because they're going to say, hey, we didn't hire you to do all that. We hired you to work. We're paying you for that, so you need to go to work. And I know to a lot of people, because of YouTube and social media like Instagram and things like that, there's a lot of people that just feel like, oh, all I work is 2 hours a day and I make all these millions of dollars or whatever. Let me tell you something about that. I'm not meaning to get off on that tangent, but most of that is a lie. Okay? There is so much fraud on Instagram. It is unbelievable. And they just allow it. You know, there are so many people living in what they call the fake it until you make it world. They want you to believe that they're more successful than they actually are. That's why I'm very transparent with my channel here on YouTube. I show my sales, whether they're good, whether they're bad, you know, whatever. To me, a sale is a sale. But it's that discipline that I've worked into my schedule and working into my life that's kept me going. That's kept me going when the times that, and there were times I thought about quitting. Yeah, we all go through that. But then the discipline kicks in. I like selling postcards. They're easy. You know, it's an easy business, but it's not simple. You still have to market it. That's why I started this YouTube channel. You still have to have the discipline. I had to have the discipline to do this video. You know, I've committed to doing one video a week. Now, I've changed my schedule a little bit, but I still have to have the discipline. And if I don't have an idea by Friday, I got to sit down and write down some things, and maybe some things I want to talk about, and something I can bring to you guys so I keep the channel alive. There's a discipline there. It's more than just passion. I love shooting videos, but you know, passion isn't, in my opinion, passion is not enough. You've got to have that discipline, so when if the passion fades or gets weakened, then your discipline kicks in, and you just put your head down and you do what you got to do. Okay? So that's my take on that. You may have a difference of opinion. Feel free to share in the comments what you want to do, you know, how you keep going, whether it's discipline, whether it's passion, whether it's a combination of both, whatever. Let's have a conversation about it, and that way we can help each other. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you noticed, I got a new sign. I deliberately left that till the end of the video because I figured you'd pick up on that anyway. But yeah, I got a neon sign. I know it doesn't look the way it looks to my human eye. To the way it looks to my human eye, it's all green. Okay, it's a completely green sign, and it's a green glowing sign. But you can probably see that it has a green glow to it, but the letters may look white. It's only because of the limitations of this camera. It's a thing called exposure latitude. That's what they call it in photography. It has a certain limit as to what it can handle and what it cannot handle. And unfortunately, things like this, if I had a better camera or whatever, you know, it would come out better. Or if I had a bigger room where I could set the sign way back in the darkness to where it was surrounded by more darkness than light, you know, whatever the reason. But I like it. It really... we ordered it actually from China. Took about 2 weeks to get here, but we came across a Chinese company that was really good, really responsive. They sent us a proof and everything before they went ahead and made the sign, and I think it was only like $30 or $40. I mean, I met up with one company here in the U.S. I communicated with them, and they wanted over $200 to make the same thing, and I was able to get my actual logo, the font, and everything. So. Yeah, it's a cool sound. I always wanted one, and I told you in previous videos that it was coming. Well, we finally got the money to get one, and we got it, and that's why I wanted to include it in the video. If you got anything out of this video, Make sure you smash that like button. It really helps the channel. I appreciate it. I'm going to go. But you guys have a great day. And we'll see you on the next video. Take care and bye for now.